Welcome to Wild. I'm your host, Robin Lavasser. They say our biggest fear is not that we are inadequate. It's being powerful beyond measure. In this podcast, I will share how to break through imaginary ceilings, lean into success, discovering your purpose, and understanding how to create the business and life of your dreams. From failures to triumphs and all the tactics in between, let's jump into the wild arena together. Welcome back to Wild with Robin Lavasser. I'm going to change gears a little bit. Instead of in loans, I'm going to talk mama. I'm going to talk mom world. I had a few different things come up for me in the last couple of weeks that I felt like were aha moments and worth sharing. So whether you are a mom, a dad, a parent in general, a step parent, it doesn't really matter. And also this can apply to friendships and life. I have a lot of dear friends that are in different stages of parenting. And it's interesting when people often, I think, don't share vulnerability in parenting. Hey, I'm struggling with this, or my kids are struggling with this, or maybe as a friend, you see something happening and you don't sit down with your girlfriend, fellow mom or dad and say, hey, I see this happening and I care too much to let it go. I care too much to turn my head. I care too much about you to stay silent. And without completely overstepping, which I really don't even believe in, because I believe if everything comes from a great place in your heart, that what's worse, feeling a certain way about something and not saying anything at all, or being willing to say something without expectation of getting your way with the outcome. And I think there's a lot of power in that. And so parenting is one of those places where we all know there are moments when you see something go on and you're like, oh, that is not how I would have maybe handled that. Not that your way is always right or their way is wrong, but there are moments when you see somebody struggling that you should say something. You should get involved if you really truly care about them. You're not indifferent, you're engaged, right? And you're being engaging with them. And that's part of having real friendships, authentic friendships, long-lasting relationships with other people. They come with sometimes tough conversations, pineapple, if you will, which is the hard on the outside, sticky and sweet on the inside, coming from a good place, conversations. And so I'll give you an example. I had a mama friend of mine, and she has 3 daughters, and she's a stay-at-home mama. She homeschools. And so from the outside, you could say in some ways the kids are somewhat sheltered. They're certainly sheltered, and this isn't a good or a bad word when I say the word sheltering. They're certainly a lot more sheltered than our kids were. Our kids were in public school all the way through. They were exposed to a lot more, if you will, than what her children have been. And I'm not knocking that at all. I can't say that I wouldn't choose to homeschool these days. So she's got incredible children. I couldn't love the girls more. They're amazing. She sends me a message. She's coming out to stay with us, and her daughters had just gone to their first kind of big summer camp. They're 13 and 11, and it's a Christian-based camp, and they're headed to this summer camp, and they're one day into camp. The camp happens to land halfway between where we live and where they live, but it's quite a few hours away from both of us. And she sends me a message and says, hey, the girls are miserable. One day into camp, one day. It's only been the late afternoon drop off that evening, and the first thing the next morning, it's the girls are miserable. I'm going to go pick them up. And I get this message and I'm thinking, okay, it's been, I think they've only been there for a day if I check myself right. And I kind of like, okay, thumbs up on the text message, don't think much about it. And then it just pulled at me. And I was like, I have to tell you, summer camp for me as a little girl, I'll never forget the very first time I went, and I felt a little homesick the first few hours, and especially at nighttime, right? Kids get homesick and a little out of place because you don't know people, so you're a little nervous. And I wanted to go home. And lucky for me, back then, there really wasn't quite an option. There were no cell phones. There wasn't checking in. Yes, we had a camp phone, at an emergency, but the counselors were more on tap to deal with it. And so there wasn't the request that you just go, I want to go home. They distract you and keep you going. So I don't even remember having to call my parents or asking to go home, but I knew I wanted to in a moment. And so it started to pull on me. It started to really pull on me. And so I called her and I said, friend, I feel like you're making the wrong decision as a mama. I would regret not saying something. And so I love you. You're an incredible mom. I completely understand if you opt to go get your girls. But I think it's the wrong decision. She kind of starts crying a little bit and she says, they're upset. And I said, what's going on? Well, one of the other girls, is snotty or something happened. And I said, girls are mean, all of them, including yours, mine included. me included. We've all been mean or perceived as mean to other people. We've all had snotty moments. They're probably initially homesick, a little out of their element. And she said, I know. And the moment I said yes, I thought to myself, Robin would never do this. Robin would not. And I said, well, I would if they were unsafe. I would if they felt unsafe. I would if, they were in any sort of danger and jeopardy, those things, but not just to make them more comfortable, not just to cave. And she says, well, I don't know how to tell them no in this circumstance, because she felt as a mom like she was potentially abandoning. And I said, this is a big moment for your girls, and it's a big moment for you as a mom. And I would challenge you that the uncomfortable option is the right choice. We actually even play that into our businesses, to our lives in general, in both areas, right? Me making a call that's uncomfortable, that's really not in my lane, that could be received very offensively, like I've overstepped my bounds. They're not my children by any means, right? I could have not made the call at all. I could have judged her from a distance or let the outcome become the outcome. And I was okay. I said, if you go get them, listen, you're an incredible mom. So it's your choice at the end of the day. If you want to go get them, I understand. And she said, Robin, would you call them? And so I got on the phone with the counselor and talked to the girls. And I said, what's going on? And they explained it. And I said, do you think you're just a little out of your element? And they said, yes. And I said, do you think that's the point of camp? Being away from mom and dad, getting a little uncomfortable, but finding joy in a different thing independently, meeting new friends. Kids are mean, but how many girls are actually at the camp? Over 100. Do you think there's some that are nice there? Do you think there are some that are great? Think about that in business, right? There's a couple maybe awful realtors in your community or awful referral sources. There are hundreds of others that are amazing. Have you found them yet? Or the tough one, did you decide that that was the label for everyone, right? Like, we have all of these things, both in parenting and in life, that are so interchangeable, if you will. So I'm talking to the girls and I said, I want to challenge you to stay. I think you're brave enough, you're big enough, I think you would really enjoy it if you went all in, if you decided to meet new people, if you decided to definitely take the high road, no gossip, which can be very tempting as 13, 11-year-old girls. If you decided to try new things, I know the camp has big water things and zip lines and, go do something really adventurous, something that scared you, but then felt really cool after you did it. You leaned into faith, right? That's why they were there. It was a Christian-based camp, and you do all of these things. And what if you enjoyed every minute of it and you blink and 3 days from now or 4 days from now, I forget how many days there were left, mom is there to grab you and you come, they call me Auntie Rah Rah, you come out to our house and we have a great week from there. And they agreed to stay. And it's funny. I said, where is, one of them's a little more emotional than the other. And I said, where's your sister? And she said, oh, she's out having fun, but she said she'd leave if I was that miserable. And so as we talked, they stayed pretty calm. There wasn't any crying or anything else. And they agreed and they ended up staying the entire time. And they complained about a few things when they got back from camp, but overall they told stories that I know they were proud of and they really enjoyed. Parenting is hard. Saying no to the people that we love the most, that we want to protect the most, is hard. No different as a leader when you have a team member that says, here's all the reasons I didn't get something done. I'm overwhelmed or this, or I don't want to try that new. I don't want to process a reverse mortgage because I've never done it before. And when we accommodate people into comfort versus challenge people in the discomfort and see what they can make of themselves on the other side, right? They say that pressure is a privilege. Pressure is what creates the diamonds, right? It creates the jewels. And we are all searching and seeking for all the jewels in life. And don't we want that for our children? Don't we want that for people we lead? Don't we want that for our real estate agents and referral partners and our clients? But all of those things come from tough conversations, from sometimes having tough accountability, tough love moments, that you don't remain silent but judgy in the internal, right? It's you decide to lean into some tough moments and be brave enough to say, I care so much about you, but do you mind taking my feedback? And what you do with it is your choice, but I'm still going to give it because I care enough to. And so be that person that comes with a heart that has a great motive and a clear voice. And I promise you, you will stand out and you'll feel much more at peace with your own life because you take on problems head on, but you'll also feel so good. And it sets such a great example for your own children, your own work circle, all of those things. And you will grow while helping others grow too. And that really is what we are all chasing all the time. So I hope this mom boss, if you will, wild episode was helpful for you. If it was, I hope you share it. We will see you soon.